Hi, and welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be tackling the problem on the screen, which is, given an array R, you can choose a set of integers and remove all the occurrences of these integers in the array. Return the minimum size of the set so that the least half of the integers of the array are removed. So for example, you have this array here, and what you want to do is that you want to remove as the least number of integers as possible, such that when you remove all occurrences, such as if I remove these two, less than half of the array is left. So if I just remove the 3's, you'd still have more than half. But if I remove the 3's and the 5's, then that solves the problem. So in order to do this, we need to iterate through the array, find how many times each number occurs, and just remove the ones with the maximum number of occurrences, because that decreases how many numbers we remove. So the first step is to count the frequencies. That's step number 1. And step number 2 is to actually see how many of those high appearing frequencies we need to remove. And then obviously we need to return the result. So in order to count the frequencies, we're going to create a hash map. So I'm just going to create a map, integer being the integer inside the array to the number of occurrences. Map is equal to new hash map and perfect. So what we want to do is that we need to say for int num in array. We're going to now normally what I would do is that I would say if map dot contains key of num blah blah blah, but there's actually a very shorthand trick for this. Instead of doing all those lines of codes creating all those variables, we can just say map.put num, and then over here, because we're putting num, we do map.get or default. And what this would do is that it'll say if map has this key, it will return that value, else it will return the default value. So here we want to return num if it's already existed inside the map, else we want to return 0, and we just want to do +1. So this just makes it a whole lot more easier than doing and creating all those variables. So the next step is to see how many we need to remove. And in order to do that, I'm going to create a set. So set entry, and this is just going to be an entry inside the map. So I'm just going to call set equals new hash set. And inside this is going to be map.entrySet. So what I did was that I took all the entries inside this hash map and turned it into the set. And that is an advantage to us because then we can easily sort it based on the values. So we would do collections.sort. And what are we sorting? We're sorting the set. And then we would do here comparator.comparing, and then we do e, so that's the value we're taking, e.getValue. And here I used a set, but because we haven't talked about a set in this series, I'm gonna turn it into a list because it works just as easily with a list. So now that we've sorted it and we've gone into the set, so I guess step 2 is sorting plus how many we need to remove. We need to see how many we need to remove. And in order to do that, I'm actually going to separate this into another step. So I'm going to say step 3 is how many we need to remove, and step 4 is returning the result. So we need to create, so in order to do this, we need to create an integer that keeps track of how many items were removed so that we can make sure it's half of the array. And we also need to keep track of how many we're removing because that's what we need to return. So I'm going to say int counter, so let's make this more descriptive. Int removed values is equal to array.length, and we'll keep subtracting how many we remove, and int number of removed is equal to 0. So what we can do is we can have while removed values is greater than array.length divided by 2, then we need to do number of removed minus equal set dot get. But here's the thing. What I wanted to do here is I wanted to first, if it turned out to be like 1, 2, 3, 4 after it was sorted, I first want to get 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. I want to go backwards. So in order to do that, I'm going to create a new variable. I'm going to call it I. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get set.size minus I. And this will allow me to first get this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. And I start with 1 because you can't get set.size. And then we want to get the value of this. And then what we can, oh, and whoops, this is removed values. And then what we want to do is we want to number of removed plus plus and also I plus plus. And then at the end, all we need to do is return number of removed. And just in case this step wasn't clear, this sorts this set based on the values. This entry set based on e.getValue. So I'm going to save this code. And it looks like there's still an error. Oh, right, I need to make this static. Perfect, and let's try it out. So I actually tested everything that we saw on the notepad, so let's check it out to see whether it matches. So we first have 2, then 1, then 1, then 1, then 5. So it looks like our program is working. So just as a summary, we first count the frequencies, then we sort it, then we see how many we need to remove, and then we return the result. I hope this was helpful and see you next video. Bye!